how boring is your job?
If we have a really motivated student, we can do everything in one day.
I'm sure of the program. I want to enroll. Where do I start?
And the fact that anybody, anywhere could essentially fake a high school diploma.
Can you give me an example of a critical thinking question that would be on it?
At Gurnick, we do allow our students to bring in a sealed stamp transcript.
Applying to a college of your dreams can be a lifelong pursuit and endeavor. However, for many people, it can also be a stressful time. In reality, it shouldn't be though, because there are many admissions experts to help walk you through the process. Hi, I'm Cindy Chamberlain, and join us today for another episode of The Making of a Nurse, and we'll be discussing all things admissions.
All right, I'm here with Katherine Tassell, Gurnick Academy's admission director for all of our campuses. Katie, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How about you?
Good. You are all things admissions, yep. And that's a pretty broad task. And I know you've said your job is boring. I don't think it's boring. I think it sounds really exciting. So I guess I'll start this with how boring is your job?
Well, when you're dealing with policies and procedures all day long, and admissions requirements. And I think my goal at the end of the day is removing barriers to allow our students to have a seamless enrollment process.
Okay, so you see yourself as the red tape lady trying to undo the red tape and trying to cut through it, help students so that it's simple, so they can just go A to B. I want to attend Gurnick. How do I do it? So let's say I'm a student. What's my first step with you?
Well, determining what program that you're wanting to invest your time and your money in. So, say nursing, for instance. I mean, you would just contact the admissions department and ask your initial questions. I would want to get to know you, your goals and aspirations. Why do you want to become a nurse? Like, what is it about this field that intrigues you? That would help me understand, is this program right for you, or maybe there's another program that's better suited for you.
So if I say I want to become a vocational nurse and I contact your office, what are you going to point me to right then? I'm sure of the program. I want to enroll. Where do I start?
Where would you start? Well, I would go through just details about our program. I would ask, do you want evening or morning courses? We would go through the requirements, the admission requirements, and then we would dabble just a little bit into how the program operates, how the courses are ran. Are they online? Are they face-to-face? If they're online, are they synchronous or asynchronous, which would mean, do you have to log in at a certain time, or is it self-paced? So we would just go over all of that, and then we would open up the application portal for you to then officially submit your application. Okay.
So then you're saying that Gurnick has evening classes for the vocational nursing program, because you listed that as an option. Okay. And a lot of students are making use of that, I'm assuming, because of the work-life balance schedule that they
So it would be morning or evening, whatever is conducive to their lifestyle.
Yeah. Okay. So then you may basically set the student up with a schedule that works. And then what's the red tape you're speaking of? Like, what forms and applications exactly does one fill out in that journey?
So starting off with the actual application itself, and then, there are documents that they have to submit after submitting their application, which is their valid ID and official transcript. The official transcript could be just from high school. So if it's somebody that doesn't have any college background, taken any prerequisites, or even really an adult that's coming to us that has a complete career change, it would be the official high school transcript. And the official high school transcript would need to have the conferral date, which is the graduation date. And same thing that goes for any previous college work. We would need the official transcript for that. And then
before you go to the next one, I want to stop you at official transcript. So having gone back to school, I realized the whole transcript thing is totally different. And I wanted you to speak to that, as we had talked about like a few years ago. What did the transcript process look like?
Yeah. So first and foremost, an official transcript is the official means it's a transaction between a university to a university. At Gurnick, we do allow our students to bring in a sealed, stamped transcript. So as long as they receive that transcript from their university or their previous high school, and it's sealed and stamped, and they hand it to us, we will accept that as being official. And then the university to university is 2024. We have this great thing called parchment. So parchment, we can receive, just depending on how busy the registrar's office is at the previous university, we could get their parchment within 30 minutes rather than back in the day it being received via USPS, which could take up to a week or longer.
That's so amazing to me, because you're right. You can, with parchment, those universities can communicate within 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So, if you're probably not waiting for transcripts as much as you used to wait for transcripts.
Yeah.
There they are.
It definitely expedites the enrollment process for sure.
Yeah. And it also cuts out the student that might figure out a way to
try to alter the transcript a little bit. Yeah. And I think that's the whole purpose of the university to university transaction, but then also the sealed and stamped envelope being deemed official.
Right. It's a lot harder. Every now and then you hear a crazy podcast of someone who, got into med school and never graduated from high school because they trumped the system somehow.
Yeah.
But with parchment, it's almost impossible.
It is, but I will say this though. One of the things we just recently changed, we did accept copies of high school diploma.
Okay.
But with this great thing that we have now called AI, and the fact that anybody, anywhere could essentially fake a high school diploma is why now we require official transcripts.
Or with Adobe InDesign.
Absolutely. Exactly. Yeah.
Valedictorian.
And people get really good at this. And so it's really hard to determine, is this legit or is this fake? So, yeah.
Right. Okay. So we got to transcripts. Next step.
So after submitting transcripts, we have an assessment that students need to complete. And for vocational nursing, essentially it just tests your critical thinking skills. Some of the questions that you'll receive on the assessment are like English composition related, math related, just questions like that, kind of throwback to grammar school when you were taking state tests, kind of like those questions.
So which math is it? Is it algebra, geometry, algebra 2?
It is a mix of that. It's the luck of the draw, essentially. Yeah. Okay.
So basically your high-end high school math is what is going to be on that with the critical thinking skills. Can you give me an example of a critical thinking question that would be on it?
Like I guess one question that I would see on one of these exams is one of those questions that would trip you up during like a state testing of, if you had to drive 30 miles off of, I don't know, you had $5 in your pocket and you had to drive 30 miles, and gas is now at $5.98. How much money would you have to spend in order to be able to successfully drive that 30 miles? So literally questions like that is what you would be asked.
Yeah. Okay. And you have to have the real answers, not like the joke on Facebook that says, Bob ate 300 donuts in 1 hour. How many, donuts would he eat in 3 hours?
I mean, you could get that question too.
He'd have diabetes.
Oh, well, I mean, that would be a valid question for vocational nursing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah.
Got it. Okay. So then they take the critical thinking. So we've got the transcript, critical thinking. What's next?
So they would need to meet the cut score for that.
Okay.
Is 16 for vocational nursing. So once they successfully complete their assessment, they would then be qualified to pay their official application registration fee of $100. And we would officially register them. And then after they're registered, there are some disclosures that we would send out to the student to read over and sign and submit back.
Yeah.
But then this also gives the opportunity for those students that do have previous college coursework to potentially transfer in to Gurnick. So we would send them a transfer credit disclosure. If you don't have previous college coursework, you would just waive your right to get reviewed because there's nothing to review, sign it and submit it back. But for those that do have previous college work, they would make sure that they have all of their official transcripts and course descriptions for those courses sent to us, and our registrar's office would review those courses, and they would determine if they were eligible to credit grant those courses.
Yeah, and I wanted to put a disclaimer in from our pre-interview. If they're going to do that, they have to do it now, right? Because you said they cannot backload it later. They would need to decide right now if they want to credit grant anything and bring anything with them, right?
Correct, yeah. So if they, before we get into like the official enrollment, like once they are enrolled in the program, there's no, oh, I forgot I took this class 10 years ago or 5 years ago. Can you guys please look at this for credit granting?
Right.
And we wouldn't be able to do that.
There's no oops. So if you're registering, thinking about registering at Gurnick now, put those in at this stage.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next stage after that would be?
So there would be a benefit to having that previous coursework, because with vocational nursing, there is the prerequisite to the actual core program. So the prerequisite was like, it encompasses like anatomy and physiology. And so like if you had taken like anatomy and physiology previously, and our registrar's office approved that would be one course towards that prereq that you wouldn't have to take. And you could essentially credit grant out of the entire prerequisite program, which is great because that's like 3 months worth of coursework that you wouldn't have to complete, as well as it's a pretty big chunk out of pocket that you wouldn't have to pay for, because our prerequisite is an out of pocket cost.
Yeah. So the underscore here is money saving.
Absolutely.
By credit granting, but you have to know what you're going to credit grant up front. You can't go a year into the program and say, oops, Katie, I forgot to tell you I took this class at such and such university. Okay, got it.
You can't do it at that point.
Yeah, but big chunks of money saved there. So if someone has that, they should bring that to your attention.
Yeah, but if they don't have that, I mean, our prerequisite sets them up for success in the course. So it is money well spent. So
and Gurnick does offer the prerequisites they would need, likely, right?
Okay. No, absolutely.
Okay, got it. Okay, what is the strangest thing you've seen someone try to credit grant? Has someone tried to credit grant, underwater welding or something for chemistry or something like that?
So far, I have not seen any underwater welding or basket weaving. So
well, knock on wood, you may soon. Right?
I mean, we may see it. The registrar's office may see it, but
Okay, next step in the process. We're about 5 minutes in. We're wrapping up, so tell me what the next step would be for admissions.
So, I mean, essentially, once we got all official documents, we did the credit granting review, we would just officially enroll the student and get them prepped for orientation and prepared to attend the first day of class.
Did they get a tour of the campus?
Yeah, they have throughout the entire process, even before they submit their application, they can always schedule an opportunity to come and tour the campus.
To tour. Okay. And so then in this exchange, there's kind of a dialogue back and forth between the student, your department, answering questions, kind of a lot of hand-holding, getting them to feel comfortable with that process. What is the usual time from start to finish when someone applies to when they actually are able to usually start classes, like average time span?
I would say average time, probably 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
2 to 3 weeks. It really depends on the motivation of the student. If we have a really motivated student, we can do everything in one day.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to ask you just really quick, you had mentioned in very broad strokes, there's a lot of difference between the entering student in the VN and someone coming in for the BSN. So you're initially dealing with someone who's very schooled at the BSN level, but at the VN level, you're often walking them through college kind of for the first time. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, typically our vocational nursing students are recent high school graduates.
Yeah.
So they don't have life experience. And so the great thing about Gurnick is we have all of these nursing pathways. So we have the vocational nursing, which is the foundational once they complete the vocational nursing program and they sit and they get their license, then the next step would be our associates in vocational nursing, which gives them the general education courses like English, math, all of the gen ed courses. And once they take these gen ed courses, they'll then have their associate's degree, as well as be a licensed vocational nurse that will then qualify them to go various other tracks. They can go the LVN, BSN route. They can go BSN with advanced placement route. I mean, we even have students that graduate high school that, just feel more prepared for life, may have had more life experience going, may have had to grow up a little faster. than most. Yeah. And they're well prepared to go through our general Bachelor of Science in Nursing program. So they can even do that, go straight into that program. And then once they get their Bachelor's of Science in Nursing, we also offer a Master of Science in Nursing. And what's very unique about our master's program is that you would be a nurse educator. So you would be educating future nurses.
Yeah, it's super cool. Okay, so let's wrap it up with the 5 steps for admissions. You first fill out an application.
Fill out an application.
The applications first. Second would be?
Well, first you would have a one-on-one with an admissions advisor.
Okay.
Ideally, secondly, you would want to do a campus tour so that you can see the amazing facility that you're going to be getting educated in. Yeah. 3 would be submitting the application. 4 would be submitting all official documents. And 5 would be showing up for the first day of class.
There you have it, the 5 steps. We had talked just a little bit if there's any bloopers for admissions. And you said there's not a lot. You said your job.
Well, there's not a lot on my end, but my front end staff that are on the phones with students tend to have the stories.
And so you tell me sometimes they hear some pretty amazing things.
They've heard some crazy things happening in the background, like arguments happening between. It's like speaking with a high school graduate.
Children crying. You
hear mom and dad arguing about where the TV remote is in the back, or children having a temper tantrum in the background. There's some. They definitely have some interesting stories of background noise while they're trying to interview a student.
Which makes sense. They're going to come into college with that too, so you might as well get to know them right off the bat.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Okay.